Hi, this is Gamer for Fun, and welcome to this review for the Hori Pad Mini for Nintendo 64. Here's the controller. I got the blue one, so let's do a review on this one and see if it's better than the original Nintendo 64 controller. So Hori is a Japanese company that was founded in 1969 and has since 1983 made many different third-party controllers and accessories for different consoles from Microsoft, Sony and Nintendo. The most known product is their Hori Pad Mini for Nintendo 64. The reason for that is maybe because the controller is much more like a regular controller like from Xbox or Sony than the original Nintendo 64 controller, which had another handle in the middle. So on this controller they have taken that handle away. Even though it was loved and hated by many players, the original N64 controller was a bit difficult to use sometimes, at least how to hold it. So that's why Hori made this one, both for the Japanese market and for the Western market. Here you can see the Hori Pad Mini compared to a regular Nintendo 64 controller, which has the trident with the analog stick in the middle and the D-pad on the left side and the A and B button and the C buttons on the right side. On the Hori Pad Mini it has a more GameCube-like analog stick, as well as the A and B buttons are covered more to the center, as well as the D-pad also is in the center instead of the handle in the middle. So here you can see the regular controller. The D-pad is quite good, all the buttons feel quite good as well. When Nintendo made this controller, they said that it was specifically designed for the Super Mario 64, and that means you have to hold it like this, with the thumbs in the middle, at least if you were a right-handed one, and use that as an analog stick. I think it's actually better just to use with a D-pad, but you can choose which side you want to hold it in, either in left or right hand. On the bottom we have the C trigger, which you can use for like shooting games like GoldenEye. You also have the memory pack port, which also doubles as rumble pack, and the L and R buttons on the side. Here you see the controllers compared also with a Mako Pad 64. The D-pad is quite good, the A and B buttons not that much as on the original controllers, and the analog stick is moved to the side as well. So let's take a closer look at the Hori Pad. The analog stick is moved to the side, much like the Xbox and GameCube controller. Also have a more GameCube-like stick, which also can be pushed down. The D-pad in the middle is a bit smaller. Most of the N64 games don't use this D-pad, as well as the start button is also much more squishy than the other ones. The A and B buttons as well as the C buttons is almost the same as on the regular N64 controller, but it's much smaller in the hand. So for players that are used to the PlayStation and Xbox controllers as well as the GameCube controller, this one is much easier to use than the original one. On the back you can see there's no Z trigger in the middle, under here, because they moved the third handle. It has the same expansion port for memory cards and rumble packs, and they fit just like on the regular N64 controller. And then on the back you can see the L and R buttons, as well as two set triggers instead of just one on the original one. Which means you can play it however you want, and it's much more like an Xbox or GameCube controller. So now we're gonna have some gameplay here from different games, and I'm gonna show you how it is to control different popular games with this controller. This first one is Super Mario 64, which the original controller for N64 was made for. So you can see the responsiveness is quite good. This is a 3D platformer, so the stick is a bit looser than the original one, because it uses more like a GameCube stick. But in a 3D platformer like this, it works quite well. No issues controlling Mario here. Still as easy as before as doing the different jumps, as well as turning, which is crucial in a 3D platformer like this. Also you can control the camera there. And a backflip as well. So the next game is FIFA 99. This is a sports game. And this one controls a lot like modern FIFAs, only with a fewer buttons and a bit less animations when it comes to the players. Like here, I did a really good lob pass without doing anything precisely. So the ball is much more tailored to the players, and it's much easier to do a good pass than in the later games.
That's a tough challenge.
So here I play with Rosenborg against IK from Sweden.
Great cross. Tremendous save.
So let's see if I can score a goal.
Quality passing.
It's a bit different to control this game rather than the modern FIFAs, but still easy to pick up and play. And no issues with this Hori mini controller.
Taken by the keeper. Brought down. Neat pass.
And that's a goal. Sigurd Rushfeldt scored this one. So no issues controlling FIFA or sports games with this controller.
Let's see the replay.
So the next game is going to be Mario Kart 64, the legendary game. So let's see if power sliding is as easy in this one as with the original controller. So here we got the Koopa shells. Since this one is quite easy track and easy cup, it's not that much use with the power sliding. I prefer using Peach because she has, in my opinion, better handling and better speed than the other ones. So if you want, please leave a comment down below to tell me which character you prefer in Mario Kart 64. So I'm only gonna do one lap here. No issue controlling Mario Kart with the Hori mini. So now we're gonna try a fighting game. This time it's Super Smash Bros. Another legendary N64 game. I'm playing as Link here. So trying different kind of attacks, like the spinning attack, regular attacks, and jumping as well. I don't think this one is as easy as controlling as the original controller. Still possible, but maybe it's better to control this game with the original one. Especially when it comes to the jumping and the C buttons, which you use a lot in this game. I chose this stage because there are a lot of smashing and attacking with all these Yoshis. So still a very possible game to use the controller for, but maybe still better controller the original one. Then we're gonna try an FPS, this time not GoldenEye, but Perfect Dark, which in my opinion is the superior GoldenEye when it comes to both story and control and graphics. So in an FPS you need to be precisely when you're controlling this one. I played through this game quite a lot with the original one and with the Hori mini. For my experience so far, I think it's a bit more looser when it comes to the Hori mini. So for FPSs, is probably better off using the original one. That also goes for the GoldenEye game, which is also a bit more looser when it comes to the controller. But luckily the auto aiming is quite good. So as you can see here, the free aim is a bit loose. So on FPSs I recommend using the original controller rather than the Hori mini, but it's still possible if you don't have too high difficulty. It might not be that accurate though, but still possible. So let's do the verdict on this controller. On the plus side, it's better and easier to hold than the original controller. It's quite a good build quality, feels like something Nintendo could have made, and they should have made it themselves. As you can see, Nintendo clearly took the design for the Hori Pad Mini onto the GameCube controller. As you can see, almost the same analog stick as well as the D-pad. And you also have the set triggers on the back, or one set trigger. Button still feels nice on the GameCube controller, which in my opinion is the best controller Nintendo have ever made, the GameCube controller. So here you have all three, the GameCube controller, the Hori Pad Mini, and the original N64 controller. Analog stick is almost the same as on the GameCube, and it almost works perfect in all the games. The two set buttons under the L and R is like on the PS2 controller, which makes it easier to use in first-person shooters. The cons for this controller is that the D-pad is smaller and worse placed than the original one, so for 2D games it's not as good, so there we recommend the original one. Some games that requires high precision, like GoldenEye or you saw Perfect Dark, might not be that good because the analog stick is a bit looser than the original one. The L and R buttons, as well as the set button, is a bit too small and doesn't click as much as the original when you push them. The start button is also quite small and flimsy, but that doesn't matter that much because you don't use the start button as much in games. So this has been Gamer for Fun. I hope you like my small review of the Hori Pad Mini. Also check out my Twitch channel where I will live stream different kind of games. So please hit that follow button on my Twitch channel if you want to get notified when I go live. Link will be in the description. If you would like to see more videos like this, please leave a thumbs up and a like. And I will see you in the next video.